actually
Bro, we're
that
up.
is
Let's put Apex Legends on. Let's launch
pieces
Disco.
of,
Let's
soccer
launch
projects we've
stream
had the
chat.
opportunity
Let's
to cover
go.
news. It's really cool because it gets to the heart of just doing cool things with technology. Where it's kind of educational, like to recover data and code from audio. It makes sense, but it's not really a common way to do things. The basic mechanism for how the dump works goes like this. The GBA sound chip is independent of the main processor, and it's capable of reading data completely on its own. Under normal conditions, the process is restricted to a small sound buffer in memory. When the game crashes, the sound chip will basically free run, and it'll just start playing the whole cartridge as audio, to the extent that when it starts hitting actual audio data, like game music, game sound effects, you'll still hear those just like you would normally hear it in the game. But then as for everything else in code, each one has a particular tone assigned to it. Since it's a sound chip, the data is indiscriminately interpreted as audio, because almost all of the data isn't actually music or sound effects. Obviously, most of it comes out as kind of a garbled mess. Now, it sounds awful to the human ear, but it's actually useful because you can start reconstructing the code by taking this audio. It's code, it's just format into a different format, which is audio playback. So the really cool part to play for you is in the middle when glitching noises and static are interrupted by the game's actual sound effects.
All audio.
A good parallel to think about this is how some old PCs, like the Commodore 64, could use cassette tapes to load games, when normally those tapes were associated with music. It's not a perfect process, so the Zaz glitch goes into details of making the process work, and also proves the concept by comparing it to actual hardware and to an emulator in a more standard way, and using a well-loved Nintendo DS to produce the noise and capture it on the PC. Eventually, after days of work, the Zaz glitch stated they were able to get a functional copy of the ROM completely reborn from the pained screens of the same video game as it died. We just wanted to add this in because it's really cool, it's fun, and it serves as a great way to illustrate how data can be transformed into many different formats, and you can do cool things with it, like recovery, for example. On top of that, normally backing up or dumping game cartridges requires
because data is really just the representation of something
special hardware,
in an
but this one, it doesn't technically need any tools. It needs time. And that's cool in its own way. So if it's interesting you at all, go check out the original video from Zaz Glitch for the full info.
Basic ones and zeros doing
right,
what?
Digital
for. Ones and zeros. You don't have the instructions for what those ones and zeros recompile, you don't know what the fuck it does.
Before they are gone, we will not be restocking them. Or you can go to patreon.com/Nexus to throw a few bucks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time.
Blue River. A wandering official strolls the banks, looking for stones. For this river is known for delivering prophecy, and at very special times, messages will appear from heaven. A flat white stone catches his eye. Picking it up, he finds it has writing on it. A sage mother shall come to rule all mankind, it says, and eternal prosperity will result. Soon, the Dowager Empress Wu Zetian brings the entire court to the river to offer thanks for the prophecy that she is sure refers to her. After all, there are already monks who are creating a new translation of the Great Cloud Sutra with a passage about how a celestial bodhisattva will return in the body of a woman and rule the earth. So this stone cannot be a coincidence. And it's not, because that translation is sponsored by Wu herself, and the man who found the stone just so happens to be her nephew. Thanks so much to Incogni for helping to keep people's personal data personal. Most historians painted the revelation of the White Stone as the moment that Wu Zetian decided that she would usurp her son and rule it out. Upon its discovery, she adopted a new title of Sage Mother, Divine Sovereign. And not content with that, she then started talking about opening a new ritual building, or Mingtang, and called the extended imperial family to the capital. It was worrying. See, opening a Mingtang was often how you began a new reign. And this one was huge, the largest wooden structure in the world at the time. And Wu's insistence that the imperial family attend sure looked like an attempt to gather possible rivals together so they could all be executed at once. As a result, instead of a coronation, Wu suddenly had an aristocratic riot on her hands, one that turned into a full-on rebellion, though she was able to stamp it out due to the powers of her surveillance network, dispatching the secret police to the provinces in search of rebels that had got the ground.
I don't think of myself as the best, just all of you as the worst.
And torture supposedly sawed off nearly a dozen
You a legend or a mouse? Mice at least know how to hide.
Were defeated, and he inaugurated
Starving.
the
Someone else is starving.
It's on
ovary for some ramen right now.
Ceremonies before her son, the Emperor Ruzong, making it clear she ranked above.
You a legend?
Then the next year, on October 16, 1690, it became official. Under his mother's pressure, Ruzong ceded the imperial title to her and accepted a new title as imperial successor. This woman, who had begun merely as Lady Wu, was now known as the female Emperor Wu. For such an unprecedented move, there was little resistance. Well, except from the Earth itself. Supposedly, the day she formally took the throne began with an earthquake. When religious figures warned that this was an ill omen, Emperor Wu said they were wrong. This was the cosmos rejoicing, making the mountains thrust upward towards the heavens in celebration. And what were they celebrating but the beginning of a new dynasty? For Wu would not be ruling under the dynasty of Tang, but rather found her own, the Wu Zhou dynasty. Harkening back to the early Zhou period that was seen as a golden age. Wu adopted the Zhou calendar and the words for days and months, as well as changed court terms and titles to bring it in line with the Zhou. And along with all of this came a new name for Wu herself. Not Wu Zetian, that would be her posthumous name. No, her name would be Wu Zhou. In fact, she created a new character for Zhou, picturing the sun and moon shining over an endless sky. This was one of a dozen new characters she created or modified in her reign, which is nuts. Because while making up new words is a normal thing in Western languages, you just don't do that in Chinese, even if you're an international brand. Yet she didn't stop at expanding language. Wu was recruiting more than these characters after all. She heavily staffed up, strengthening the bureaucracy with men of ability using the examination system. In this, she employed both a book she personally wrote on government service and started the tradition of examining scholars herself. There were, after all, a lot of officials to replace, for Wu's reign would be a bloody one, split with plots, intrigues, and a huge number of executions. Some were her political enemies, the aristocratic family she was trying to break, while others were her own family for plotting against the throne or each other. She killed a son, her daughter-in-law, her favorite secretary. Yet, despite this bloodshed, Wu's rule was generally characterized by stability, able government, and artistic achievement. Tang writing flourished, and despite the many wars, she kept China's sphere of influence. Her sponsorship of Buddhism heavily expanded and legitimized the religion, and she ordered the construction of the famous Wild Goose Pagoda. Meanwhile, her keen interests in land reform and expanding prosperity for the common people meant she had a broad base of support. So where did things fall apart, you ask? Well, that would have started with her boy toys. See, Wu played with gender a lot, doing a lot of things as male emperors would do, and that included keeping a group of young men as an unofficial harem. And no shade there. The problem was, she also kept appointing these boy toys to official positions. Like the one she made a Buddhist priest so he could visit her in her chambers where men weren't allowed, then put him in charge of both a monastery and a military campaign, both of which he bumped. So then she made him a chief overseer of the Mingtang Prefecture, which he supposedly burned down along with an adjoining temple after finding out Wu had taken a new lover. In retribution, Wu hired a group of stout women to ambush him upon entering the palace, wrestle him to the ground, and strangle him to death. But really, that was nothing compared to the saga of the Zhang brothers, a duo of boy toys Wu became enamored with at the age of 75. The Zhang brothers had a few foibles that made them unpopular at court. For example, they frequently dressed and presented as women.
What? You're in a fight without me?
In charge of a new literary department, which they basically turned into a frat house.
Let me craft you over here.
To be a reincarnated Taoist immortal, she staged an elaborate spectacle of him ascending heaven, where he mounted a large wooden crane and played the flute as a mechanical device bridged him to the ceiling. But when a court official put the Zhangs on trial for corruption and beating a slave to death, Wu not only got them acquitted, she appointed one of them to investigate the prosecutor, who ended up being banished. But that kerfuffle was not the only rockiness in the empire, for Wu was getting old, and the prospect of succession unsettled the country. The years of executions and attempted coups began to take their toll. Wu tried to calm things down by recalling the formerly exiled Emperor Zhongzong, who remained popular, and naming him crown prince. Meanwhile, Wu, now 81, became ill and secluded herself, speaking only to the Zhangs.
81.
By 705, though, many thought Wu had lost his step and should finally retire, and that the cruel Zhang brothers needed to die. February 20th, 705. Zhongzong breaks into Wu's private chambers with 500 men at his back. They have swords and armor. No one's seen the Empress in months. The Zhang brothers are in the inner courtyard, and they barely have time to raise their arms in defense before the mob is on them, shouting and hitting, forcing them to their knees. Then swords fall. 2 heads hit the dirt of the courtyard. Then everything goes quiet. Empress Wu emerges from her bedchamber. The crowd bows in reverence as she looks down at her son.
So it's you,
She says.
Now that the 2 boys are dead, you can return to your palace.
She then chided the crowd for waking her and told them to quiet down and get out. The next day, Zhongzong took formal command of the empire under the banner of the restored Tang dynasty, and Wu moved into a different palace. She died 8 months later, interred next to her husband in the enormous mausoleum they built decades before. Yet, despite that, the gigantic stele outside her tomb, meant to record the accomplishments of her life and reign, was left blank. The Tang, for their part, revered her, but then also tried to prevent later princesses from following her path, tightening the reins on female power. Regardless of the blank stele, though, China never quite forgot Wu, partially because of her exaggerated reputation for seduction and violence, which did make her a compelling character in plays and stories. In fact, today, Chinese consumers can buy Wu Zetian-inspired costumes and branded perfume, or watch soap operas based on her life. This young girl, who came to court, originally valued only for her beauty, had ruled for around 4 decades, expanded the empire to its greatest extent, and had changed both the administrative and religious landscape of China forever. And while it is a shame that Wu's legacy was not recorded on those steles in her time, not gonna lie, I can kind of see the benefit of not having a bunch of my personal data out there for everyone to see, which is where today's sponsor Incogni comes in handy. So until we started working with Incogni, I really had no idea about how much information was being sold and published by data brokers online, and also how many people search sites there were putting up personal info on the internet for everyone to see.
You did
The networking in our studio is pretty epically fast. I mean, look at this. That is 48 ports of 25 gig networking for our editors and our ingest stations, not to mention the 6 100 gig uplinks to our servers. But, watch this.
Why is my internet?
Oh, not again! Geek!
Why does this always happen?
If this one network switch ever dies or even has an issue, our entire network goes down. And not just here in the studio, but also in the lab. And here in Creator Warehouse, which is where our merch team designs our products, and where I do the segue. Hello, get super affordable phone plan, custom plans.
Safety's off.
Now, in fairness to Dell, even though we bought this switch on eBay, with 1,000 unbiased customer reviews on Trustpilot, stay tuned to learn more about their custom plans. Now, in fairness to Dell, even though we bought this switch on eBay 3 years ago, we've never had an outage that was caused by it or either of our other Dell switches. But that hasn't happened yet. What the fuck? Doesn't mean it couldn't happen someday in the future. After all, these switches are basically just really reliable, fancy computers. But unreliable computers don't roll anymore. Now, this, my friends, is how it's done.
Oh my god, Linus, it looks good, right?
Hey, Jake, how?
I just died inside. You made me feel so bad at the one I did over there.
Need some patch cables, it'll be good as new. Wait, they made it even better. I already saw it before, Jake.
I haven't seen it, like, literally at all.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, wow, that's nice.
yeah. I mean, it's, it's nothing, like what we did.
Oh, I mean, we made, like, life-changing improvements.
Yeah.
This is really just aesthetic.
Cosmetic.
Yeah. What is this? This is awful.
Yeah, they've got that one cable out of
Like,
place.
you see them hiding back there?
Boo!
Yeah, boo! What's this cable here? It looks like it's a special cable. Yeah.
The question now, though, is not how good does ours look, how good does theirs look. That's not what anybody's interested in, especially us. Right, Jake?
Ours is better.
The question is it all configured correctly so that I can come in here, rip the power out of this switch, and the whole network stays online? Can I stand on this server? That's fine, right?
I mean, you're already doing it.
You guys ready?
Hold on.
Jake, you're not going to get more ready in the next 5 seconds here. We're ready.
Oh my god.
Ah. Okay, let's go find out. Come on, don't look at the camera.
Let's go.
Hey, how's your editing going? Good, see you later.
I honestly have no idea.
You don't even work at that desk. Hi, is your computer running? Then you should go out and catch it. The network working?
Must go
Oh, good. Everything was fine and nothing bad happened.
Is it actually-
That's normal and that's what we expect.
Is it actually working? I mean, it should work.
Jake!
What?
Of course it's working. To be clear, it's better to just have them both up.
What?
I'm just gonna put this back. That was pretty cool, right? That is where these come into play.
Is it just the
I'm
two,
really excited to
two
tell
of
you
us?
about
What the
these
fuck is
switches,
this?
but to do that, we're gonna have to make some room in the server room. Oh, and make some room in the other server room. That one's gonna be bad. To be clear, it's not like we couldn't put the switches here. It's just that when we spec'd out this room, we didn't realize we were going to be putting such long servers into this rack, and we ended up with some clearance issues with our PDU. See, look, I can't even use any of the plugs down here. Fortunately, we have a solution. This custom-painted orange rack from Hammond Manufacturing is both wider and significantly taller. And I just went, is this going to fit in the room?
Alright, amigos.
Okay. At least it looks like we have a plan. So that goes on here, and then we...
Yeah, those are mint. This thing weighs 350 pounds.
Cool. I think this is not going to work then. New plan. We're putting it on the pallet jack, and we're going outside. What could go wrong? I can't see a damn thing. Oh boy, and then it goes down. No, hold on. Well, we may want to...
No, go for it. It's
I
good.
mean-
We're good.
Okay.
We've done stupider things.
Yeah, we've done stupider things recently. You weren't there for the 115-inch TV.
Oh.
That was really stupid. Since we're walking, I've got some speeds and feeds for this thing. It's basically the Canyonero of server racks. 7 feet tall, 30 inches wide, 48 rack units, and it weighs in excess of 350 pounds. That's without any hardware. Well, yes, well, that's what I asked you guys. I didn't have any plans. I planned to hire experts who would have good plans for how to do things. Oh my god.
Are you sure about this?
Oh yeah. If I die, make sure you catch it on camera.
Yeah, we cleared just fine. No, we will clear.
Alright. Not so bad.
No, but
Okay, stop.
Oh, okay, mister, it won't move. Now says, oh, it's moving too fast.
Okay, fine.
fuck is that?
I love these days, amigos.
Some
Okay,
kind
now
of
hold it
fiber?
for a goddamn second here. Hold it. How is there going to be room to maneuver this thing in there? Is the other rack coming out? We didn't think this through.
You're not bolted on.
No.
Defeat.
So there it is right there. Defeat.
Don't scratch the tape.
Let's go for a ride,
Hey, nice. Wow, these casters, this thing is built better than some houses. It's
Oh, yeah?
bigger, too.
Don't step on the
I'm
door.
not gonna step on the door, God.
Literally stepping on the
I'm
door.
not stepping on the door. I'm stepping on the cross braces that are by
Part
the
of
door.
the door.
Wow, Doris. I mean, look at this. I got my full weight on this. Not even doing anything. We can get rid of those cage nuts immediately. We'll be using rack studs available now.
Oi, what was that noise? What was that noise, Linus?
Good noise. Right. And yep, there we go. This is probably enough space for the other one, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Whoa!
Stopping there.
Table man. Who needs it?
See? Look how useful you are.
Yeah, now you can go to the side.
Just a bit, slowly.
Yeah, no, they're good. Oh, okay. Now what, you guys? It takes up the whole room.
This is your new bedroom.
What are we doing?
We ready, boys?
Barely.
Boy, hide it.
Shove towards us.
Move it. Okay.
That's definitely the paint.
I think we're gonna have a bit of a timber moment here. I'm trying to get to Dan.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Now, we using this gravity cannon or what?
Holy fucking
false this thing is huge.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. What are you guys thinking? Because you put 2 racks in here, you need more rack units.
Oh, we're doing that anyways.
Ah,
You saw the other rack, right?
what other racks?
There's another one.
Are these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, where? Here. Look at the color on it. Wow, it's got a combination lock on the back. Oh my god, there's a Dan inside. Get him out, get him out!
It is really roomy.
Wait, this is the back then.
Oh!
Sort of, yeah. Yeah, this is for patch cables and stuff. Cool! Can't use no punch. It's as effective as it ever is. In all seriousness though, what are we planning to put in here? Are we transplanting everything?
Yeah.
So
Anything will go to the bottom, switches and everything goes to the top.
and then that one's leaving?
No, let's get it.
Well, what's going to go in?
That's going to be the writer rack. So that when Jake wants to mess with all of our networking gear, he doesn't take down the entire lab and have to change the filters to go.
Whoa.
I mean, it will cost. Slight hyperbole, but you know. And there it is. The real reason we're doing any of this. Because Jake wants a Play Toys rack. We could have made this. I said we could have made it work.
Any deal doesn't even fit in it.
It's in it right now.
Barely. Not all of it. We're going to leave my playthings in there, which is like half of it, so.
Oh my
Not
god.
actually that bad.
Yeah, but the networking is the worst part.
That's why you have Sean in it.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking we would do more fun things and just leave them to do the grunt work.
Yeah, and it'll be done properly.
It's half gonna be fun. You guys ready?
Rings close.
Yeah. Look at that. That's awesome. So easy.
Almost as awesome as this switch. I'm ready to tell you. It's happening. You guys ready?
Not far from
That-
the ring.
that's
Half a
awesome.
minute.
So easy.
Almost as awesome as this switch. I'm ready to tell you guys a little bit about it. This right here is the S5232F-ON. It's got 32 ports that run at 100 gigabit, each of which can be split out into 425 gigabit ports. It has a total switching capacity of 3.2 terabits per second half duplex, so 6.4 then, bidirectionally. And these things are massively configurable because when I say they're going to be the top of rack switches on both this side and over at the studio, I mean they're going to be a pair of top. Oh god, that's heavy. No, I got it. A pair of top of rack switches because the main point of what we're doing today is to add resiliency and redundancy to our network. By the time we're done, I'm going to be able to take one of these, rip the friggin' power connector out of it, and the whole network's going to stay up, right?
Yep.
They each have redundant power supplies?
Wow, 750 watts. That's not as much. I guess it's just optics. There's no PoE, right?
Yeah, that's a lot for not powering anything else. And ooh, using serviceable fan modules. Love it!
Management. I don't.
Management port, and I love the rails these things come with. They're toolless and super easy to install.
These might be the easiest tool list for us ever. 46 and 44.
Recharging machines.
Yeah. This rack's too tall for me to work in. This is my maximum reach. At the tippy size. This still works at the 340 degrees. Oh god, I can't move, oh god! No, yeah.
I will note that he is standing on the bottom of the rack to get extra height.
I am stabilizing on the bottom.
Look, here's the banana for scale. Yep, Linus is still
This
short.
one's left. No time to be tired.
This might actually be too nice for us.
That's why it's Sean and I's, and you get the other one. Infrastructure rack, and the writer's rack.
I'm getting very close to just requisitioning this rack as my own.
Man, this is a fine rack, but it has super small PP energy next to it. This side, it's going to have its own challenges, because as much as we've tried to keep things organized, we're looking at about 8 years of total tech debt and Frankenstein solutions.
Yeah, I like re-cable managed it like 3 years ago, but
I did it a couple times before that, and it always just kind of turns into spaghetti. The good news is in the long term, I think what we're going to do is move everything around to the front of the rack and move the vault and maybe some of the other servers over here to the lab side.
I can craft you there, give me a second.
That we worked out with the city between the two buildings. Is this the part where we just start ripping stuff out?
well, Gary kind of wanted to keep internet, but too bad, I guess.
Our transceivers don't come out, Jake.
Oh god.
Yeah, that switch got a little bonked a long time ago, and
1 minute. Reach
well,
me a bath.
in transit from eBay to us.
Oh, great. So now I get to do this to keep our fiber safe.
You could just send it, and I'll just clean it after.
Sorry, Gary. I unplugged the internet. Update for you guys. We came up with a
45
brilliant
seconds,
idea.
rings just
These
up ahead.
switches don't have a ton of VLANs configured on them, but this one does, because that runs a bunch of our security stuff. So we figure, okay, if we just unplug everything, then maybe we can move this down 3 notches where it needs to go according to the plan without actually unplugging anything.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Okay, you throw it on.
Ready?
Top one. Top one.
Oh, sorry. The top one doesn't have handles, Jake.
Got it?
Yeah, there we go. We only need one of these 48 port 10 gig switches now, so we're going to keep the original one, and then we're going to hold on to the one below it as kind of a cold spare.
Hold out. That's fine.
Okay. We were a much smaller company when we configured all of this. And you're quite sure you don't support the idea of just having the other room be the main server room.
Correct.
Wait, you're not just knocking case nuts into the rack, are you?
A little bit.
Well, Jake,
That came out. Fine. Okay, other side now. Tell everyone your great idea.
he hates it when I'm right, but he likes it when it saves him a bunch of work. I'm sitting here going, we only built from both sides of this rack because we had no space.
Yeah.
Well, now we have space. You just watched us install it. So why don't we just move everything around to the front? And then, this is hilarious, remember that switch that we were super concerned about moving because of all the VLANs? Well, guess what? Ha ha! I just took every cable painstakingly and plugged it into a dummy switch for now, and then I'm going to pass them around to the front of the rack and it's like, one, two, and we'll rebuild it from the front. If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
Yeah, I like this because I wanted to do this for, in February it will have been 8 years.
I never did this because I liked it or I thought it was a great idea. It was always janky. We just didn't have anywhere else in the studio to put rack mount equipment.
You know, the main reason I wanted to do the motherboard, aside from the old one being jank, was so we had more rack space so I could eventually do this.
Nice.
It's been a long time coming. So basically, fiber patch, router 1, router 2, we don't have both of them, so it'll just be one of them for now. Dell, patch, Dell, patch, Dell, patch. I think there will not be enough devices plugged into these two that we will need 2 patch panels. Very likely.
Only one way to find out.
Do we just YOLO and hope that it goes well?
Sure. Oh, hold on, there's locks on the train release on the power and everything. Alright, please, man. Yeah, you're good?
That's my baby.
Yeah. New.
Wanick 4.
The plan today was not to just strip this rack, but that's done now.
What time is it right now?
It is 2 o'clock.
We have an hour. Let's go fast.
Oh my god.
We need to move all these patch panels now, which is nice.
Not to just think, okay, alright, geez, man. Yeah, you're good?
That's my baby.
Yeah. New.
Wanick 4.
The plan today was not to just strip this rack, but that's done now.
What time is it right now?
It is 2 o'clock.
We have an hour. Let's go fast.
Oh my god.
We need to move all these patch panels now, which is nice. They're all labeled, which is great, except a bunch of them are not. It's all of the ones Linus did that aren't labeled.
You got that last one?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's it. Okay, dummy switch comes out.
Okay, now we start going fast.
I love how the payoff for this video is going to be so much worse than what we started with.
Yeah, like the server room is just like destroyed. But one day when Sean and Dan spend 3 days recable managing this, it will be great.
We have 2 of our switches installed. We got the Dell's racked in here, fiber patch panel. We got the MikroTik running temporarily to keep internet running for Gary while we switch everything over.
Sorry, Gary.
And yeah, everything's racking well. Lots of cable management's beautiful, and everything's coming together, right, Dan?
Yeah, we got the PDUs here too, which is great.
Oh god!
Oh my god, there are hard drives in that.
Alright, here we go. That was not very good.
I don't even care that much when you kind of drop a hard drive now that I remember back to when you actually needed a hard drive.
Totally lived. This is such a relief. I remember the conversations back when we decided to build from both sides of the rack, and we were like, well, this is the only way we can fit all the stuff, so I guess we're stuck with it. But I hated it then, I hate it now. This is so much better.
Almost like we have 2 server rooms or something now. And the other one isn't a Harry Potter closet.
You know that these stairs are so wide because this room needed to be wider, right?
So what you're saying is this is entirely your fault.
Yes. The issue is that we realistically couldn't afford more, so I'm not going to apologize for it.
We cut all the cabling from the ceiling, so now we have to fix all that because it wouldn't fit.
to build from both sides of the rack. And we were like, well, this is the only way we can fit all the stuff, so I guess we're stuck with it. But I hated it then. I hate it now. This is so much better.
Almost like we have 2 server rooms or something now. And the other one isn't a Harry Potter closet.
You know that these stairs are so wide because this room needed to be wider, right?
So what you're saying is this is entirely your fault.
Yes. The issue is that we realistically couldn't afford more, so I'm not going to apologize for it.
We cut all the cabling from the ceiling, so now we have to fix all that because it wouldn't fit.
We've got all of our networking gear in here now, and the back actually looks tidy now. I'm trying to make up for the sin that I caused in the ceiling.
Right now, we have what used to be Alpha Dell, which is our 48 port S4048. We're putting these Ethernet patch panels in a spot that is eventually going to become a fiber patch panel, but we can just pop the keystones out at that point, or rather Dan and John can. And then I guess we're just moving more patch panels. It's awful, I know, but it's going to be great. One thing.
This is about to get interesting. We have to put the 2 new Dell switches, the 32 port 100 gig ones, here and here, which would be fine if the various contractors who had come in at various stages in this building's history hadn't made complete spaghetti out of all the cables going into the patch panels. I don't know if they're gonna fit in here. I never know quite how this happens, but every time you clean up a server closet or like a tech room, you find all these things that are not plugged into anything. Man, this is gonna be awesome.
Being able to restart one of your core switches and the entire network not go down, I like.
And all those years in the early days, Jake, using rails that were not toolless and whatever the cheapest rack mount stuff that I could find was, I did not know what I was missing.
Well, you actually got it in for once. Good job.
These things are flipping crazy overkill. When Jake told me what we were getting, I was like, why? We have no application that actually requires these. But I think really it's less to do with the speed and more to do with getting the latest OS and all the latest features.
Oh, I haven't even told you. The long-term plan is pretty cool. It involves having 2 routers here, at the very least. We want them to be redundant if our OpenSense router poops the bed.
I have no idea what I just unplugged.
The other one takes over automatically. Sure. The long-term plan is we have 2 routers at both buildings and an internet connection at both buildings. Hear me out. What?
I don't want to pay for 2 internet.
Yeah, whatever. We'll figure that part out. And then we can use OSPF or BGP to route the 2 buildings. And if one internet connection were to go down for whatever reason, we could assume the other building's internet connection over here, and vice versa. So redundant internet connection, redundant routers, redundant core switches. Also, these switches are probably going to be our routers at some point. And then the OpenSense boxes will just be a firewall.
So cool. That second internet connection better be just like a basic residential thing.
It can't really.
I'm not paying for 2 internet connections. It's not happening.
I don't really care. I'm good with my one.
Yeah. Can you stop knocking cage nuts into the rack? I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be when we had servers that had the backs of them open all the time. I remember this one time, one of the servers was open. It was one of the 45 drives ones, and I knocked something into it.
Oh, God.
And it sparked.
Oh, God.
And then I never told anybody, and nothing ever happened. But something was getting it.
So the best part of this is that everything uses rack stuff now. I can ask Luke to make it one of their quarterly goals to take all the old cage nuts out of here, right?
I think if we had a networking esports team, like from our networking and info department, they should call themselves the Rat Steps.
License the name.
It's a great team name.
Yeah, there's definitely an appropriate amount of patch panels per number of ports here, definitely.
You mentioned earlier we're going to transition to using these new switches as our router, but I think for most of the consumers out there, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But, yeah, thanks, Andy. But enterprise switches are very powerful. They have very robust operating systems. Why would we not?
Setup effort high. Reward pretty good.
But why do people care about those things?
For us, it's mostly inter-VLAN routing. You can imagine a VLAN is a virtual network. It's kind of like you had 20 virtual routers, you could have 20 VLANs and 20 networks. It's all kind of in one. The big thing is if you want to pass traffic between networks, which maybe that sounds, why do you have them split? Well, sometimes you want one device to talk to a device in a different network, even though you don't want all of the devices to talk. Like a writer's workstation being separated from an editor's workstation. Well, if they both want to access a server and they're separated, it's got to pass over. Right now, that would happen on our OpenSense machine, which is pretty fast, so it's probably okay. But imagine you're doing 10, 20 gigabit. It's going to start to become a bottleneck.
And this is just running commodity, some kind of mainstream VM processor in it. Whereas these switches are running ASICs.
Are you in a fight?
flippin' optimized for networking.
Yeah, you can imagine it would do that at line speed without issue. And the other thing is it will be local. So if that's happening in the lab, between two networks in the lab, it doesn't have to come back to here in the studio. It can happen there. So it's just way more efficient. Also, the internet connection sharing thing I talked about earlier.
Could be fun if you want to fly, but you don't know how.
Sounds like maybe that's not going to happen.
Oh, hi.
This is awesome. So good.
It would have taken us so much longer to do this from the back. We would have gotten to the point where it's time to plug everything back in and gone, oh crap. I forgot how hard it is to access the power on everything. Ugh.
Oh shit, I'm not Lifeline? What is this?
Oh, this thing is so cool. Have I showed you this before? Yes, I did at the LAN party.
Yes, you did.
Flex Optics, aside from making optics, also makes direct attach cables. We're going to be using these to interconnect our Dells, taking it back to that redundancy thing. For them to be redundant, they need to be connected. Every device downstream of these is now going to connect to both. So if one switch dies, this magical cable will allow the connection to traverse between them.
But in order to make sure that these cables are going to operate with peak performance and reliability, you're supposed to use Dell optics, except that sounds expensive.
Well, they actually sent us some, and then they never arrived.
Cool.
The cool thing about Flex Optics, you plug them into here, open an app on your phone, and I can type, Dell 100 gig 1 meter.
And this becomes
Dell 100 gig 1 meter. And you plug it into the switch. The Dell switch doesn't even know that it's not a Dell cable. As far as it's concerned, it's Dell.
all right. Time to put some servers back in the rack.
Listen up. This ain't a
Easy
good spot.
overkill servers.
There's no way you showed up now.
Completely overkill infrastructure that we build around here, but often it's in spite of me. I'm at my "if it works, don't touch it" stage of my life.
Well, we got the whole front patched in. All the MVRs are in. Everything's patched up. Everything's good to go. Dan is doing cabling in the back, and all we have left to move over to the infrastructure rack is AnyDell, which does all of our offsite backups from the studio. So that's all that's left. Move that over, finish up cleaning the cabling, and then we're pretty much done here. I'm waiting for studio to come back up online.
Yeah, they took down the whole building?
Yeah, they took down the internet, everything. It's all
I told Gary 20 minutes.
It's been two hours, 4 hours, whatever.
And then, yeah, Annydale. And tidying, putting the shelving away, and cleaning up out there, putting the sides back on,
Oh, damn.
and putting the doors back on.
It doesn't look like much right now, but man, is this ever easier to work on, and we are really close to being ready to fire this up. These are just all editing workstations, right? So I don't have to worry about any VLAN nonsense or anything?
Yeah. I mean, right now, this switch is connected to the router, and it's getting the VLANs now. I'm just about to connect our Ubiquiti's 48 port so we can have Wi-Fi. That will make my life supremely easier. Also, you never plug the power into it.
Which one?
Ubiquiti.
I've been doing stuff here, okay?
It doesn't look like it.
I've been doing lots of
Here, go
stuff.
plug that in, will you?
I'm working on
Come on, boy.
Get it together. Hey, I'm working here. Oh, Jake went away. He wanted to show you guys something. He made a number 2. Good job, Jake. Good job.
Thank you.
Wi-Fi's up.
Okay, great.
All right, that's good.
Now, where's the goddamn cloud key?
Well, what was the problem? Did we ever figure that out?
The problem was they were switched.
Not switched, like network switched, like...
Hey, there we go. It adopted and, remembered its config now. Okay, great.
Nice. The Wi-Fi definitely works. Hey, guys.
Hi.
I thought you guys were supposed to be the professionals. Our cable management on the other side looks so much better.
I tried really hard.
Our side looks like actual pasta.
Yeah. I thought I'd try and absolve myself of this sin.
Yeah. No, this looks great. This is amazing.
You know what came in really handy is these guys.
Yeah. LTTstore.com soon, TM. Cable management. Yeah. Boom, it holds anything anywhere. It's awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, especially the big one. You can take a big old friggin' thing and
all of these are just one of those.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. In all seriousness, how are you guys doing here? It looks pretty close.
Yeah, we're nearing the end here. We just got to deal with some of these power cables, and then of course get these back up onto the ceiling.
Sure.
And then I think that's about it.
Okay, we gave up.
You gave up. I mean, we told Gary 20 minutes to take lunch so that we would be back up, and then we immediately moved the microchip and got everything ready so that Gary could continue doing his job.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We got about 30% of the way through and realized that moving everything at the back of the rack was going to take way longer than just pulling everything out and rebuilding it all from the front, so that when it's time for you guys to unspaghetti the thing, at least you can see what the heck you're doing. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
We are not going to get the full redundancy of the thing up and running today.
Oh, why?
Because it is time for Jake to go to the airport.
Okay, well, you still got Sean and I.
It's also time for me to leave.
Okay, so we're staying here till 1 a.m.?
No.
Oh.
As long as the network works.
Okay.
We don't need the redundancy working.
Okay.
I know I'm acting all surprised and stuff, but it should work, and it does work for a number of reasons. I mean, you can see in the unified thing, there's only one upstream online on all of those switches, right?
The second one hasn't rebooted yet.
Every single switch downstream of the Dells is connected to both of them.
And then both of the Dells are connected to that link we have through the street to the other building.
Yeah,
Match
and
found.
they're also connected to each other with something called VLT, or Virtual Link Trunking. Traditionally, you would have like an LACP, or an aggregate link, between two switches. Well, the Dell takes it up a notch, and instead of just between two switches, it's between one switch and two ones above it. And if one of them goes down, you still have the redundant link, and it just works. What's even cooler is if you have a situation where it's not like the switch just died entirely, it's more like the fiber got cut, or the direct attach cable is screwy, and it needs to get something on a switch that it's not currently connected to. It will like route over the connection between the two Dells and back to that switch. And what's even more cool is that it only took like 5 minutes to set that feature up.
You know what else took only 5 minutes? Brainstorming this segue to our sponsor, Tello. Are you tired of feeling like you're stuck in a phone plan that doesn't meet your needs or is too expensive? 2 gigs needs, but national calls, shared balance, you can even keep it. Go back and watch one of the previous attempts at cable managing that room, because believe it or not, it was even worse.
Yeah. Big shout out to Hammond Manufacturing for the nice new rack. It is glorious.
It is glorious.
Shout out to Infinite Cables for the cool patch cables.
We regret to inform you that today Ben Shapiro has done something truly awful, maybe the worst things to come out of his mouth yet. He's a rapper. These are truly horrifying times for us all. More specifically, Shapiro features on the anti-woke rapper Tom McDonald's latest song called Facts. Here's a still from the music video featuring a super cool looking Shapiro. Super cool because he's mostly hidden. For copyright reasons, we won't be playing Shapiro's part of the song. Here are the lyrics to his verse, which I will do in my best Shapiro voice. Let's look at these stats. I've got the facts.
Match found.
Money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wop. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You're going to prison. I'm on television, dog. No one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section, all woke Karens. I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did it for fun. All my people download this. Let's get a billboard #1. I love that he's pushing for people to download it in the song. That's how desperate he was for this to go chart. In his limited one verse there, he says, please download this so that I can be a famous rapper, and stick one to Nicki Minaj. Also, though, in fairness to Ben Shapiro, he did somehow rap it a lot cooler than I did it in his normal voice. Must have been auto-tuned or something. I don't know how they did that. A lot of takes, probably. But apparently Shapiro was not kidding about that last line, because he's been posting incessantly about the charts. Posting here on X, I just want to thank God. And I am Tom McDonald and my parents, who paid for 15 years of classical violin lessons so I could become the #1 rapper in America. Of course, he's a violinist. That tracks. We're now #1 overall on iTunes, too. On the way, we knocked off, among others, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Eminem, and Taylor Swift. And I am Tom McDonald, and I have officially made hip-hop great again. It was always my lifelong dream. Shapiro's ex-bio now reads, Ben Shapiro, America's #1 rapper. This is all very ironic, however, because Shapiro has claimed in the past that rap is not music at all. Here's a clip from 2019.
In my view, and the view of my music theorist father who went to music school, there are 3 elements to music. There is harmony, there is melody, and there's rhythm. And rap only fulfills one of these, the rhythm section. That there's not a lot of melody and there's not a lot of harmony. And thus, it is basically effectively spoken rhythm. And so it's not actually a form of music, it's a form of rhythmic speaking.
there is all of those things. There is harmony, maybe not super often. There's definitely melody. Ever heard of the hook, bruh? And there's definitely rhythm. It's maybe the most rhythmic music that there is. But I'm glad he's finally come to the light by having to do the thing himself. Kind of a typical conservative response there is you don't acknowledge any reality until it's your own, then suddenly you're embracing of it. But until then, anything different is scary and bad.
Yeah. So, fair show in America. I'll give some upsides here in a second as well. But first of all, congratulations to him. Here's one. He's now #1 in rhythmic speaking.
He's always kind of been rhythmic speaking. He always talks kind of like this in a syncopated beat kind of way, like in AI Robocall.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually think that Ben should go to #1 on that.
Let's make it happen, folks. Download it, upload it, then download it.
Last player standing.
I like Ben Gleeb's voice of Ben Shapiro better than I like Ben Shapiro's.
Please dub my lyrics of it over him doing it on the track and upload that somewhere. That would be amazing.
That's awesome. Let's try that. Okay, so guys, he's obviously being a giant hypocrite, but he's just trying to get attention. So it is what it is. That's the game. You know, hate the game.
That's the game.
So, as much as he said he hated rap, of course he's going rap. Because the right wing also wants to be cool. That's why they always say, like, oh, liberal Hollywood, we hate them. Oh my God,
all of you know I'm a huge wrestling enthusiast. I absolutely love it more than Garfield.
Kill my copy.
So much so that we actually have our own wrestling league, the Moist Wrestling League. Even posted an episode a few days ago. This is going to be plug for it or anything. The reason I mentioned that is passion for this craft. For the longest time now, many decades, there has been this thing in the wrestling industry with a boogeyman that sits atop the food chain. His name is Vince McMahon. He is a cockroach that no amount of pest control can seem to get rid of.
Last player standing.
If you don't follow wrestling closely, you know Vince McMahon. He is extraordinarily healthy, tons of things even outside of wrestling industry. And this man is downright evil. He has a laundry list of deplorable, disgusting, heinous acts that would make the devil flinch. I talked about him at length quite a bit on streams and even in a couple of videos in the past, so I'm not going to be focusing on his sins from the past here. I highly encourage all of you to just Google his name. It's not hard to find any of this information. It's all just right there, out in the open, right there at your fingertips. It is horrible stuff. I'm not talking about just like some drama where he was behind the scenes. I'm talking about covering up crimes. Sexual misconduct. The list goes on and on and on, seemingly no end. And that's just what we know. There's probably still tons and tons of skeletons in that fucking closet. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about Vince McMahon again today is he is now at the center of another massive lawsuit here that has actually forced his hand and had him resign. Recently, multi-billion and in light of all this has stepped down. The information comes from someone named Janelle Grant who worked at the WWE headquarters and is accusing the company's founder Vince McMahon of sexual assault, sex trafficking, and physical abuse in the lawsuit that was filed on Thursday. According to the lawsuit, Grant alleged that McMahon promised a job and later promotions at WWE in exchange for sex, and the lawsuit also includes allegations that McMahon trafficked her to other men inside and outside of the company. A couple of names that get dropped out of some very big, alarming names. If you're not part of the wrestling community, I bet you've heard some buzz about this lawsuit because some text messages allegedly leaked from it, as well as some of the claims in the lawsuit are extraordinarily disturbing. Like, it is some depraved shit. And I mean shit, literally. One of the big parts of this lawsuit that was popping off on Twitter, like general Twitter, was this section where Miss Grant is talking about a threesome that McMahon put her in, and she says, early in the encounter, McMahon immediately directed Miss Grant to lay down on her back in a supplicating position. While straddling over her, McMahon defecated on Miss Grant's head. McMahon left the shower off, but he instructed Miss Grant to remain in place with excrement in her hair and to continue performing to his prey. While Miss Grant requested protection, none was offered. McMahon and physical therapist actively continued with the threesome and directed Miss Grant's sexual performance for around an hour and a half while she was left covered in feces. Absolutely sickening and sadly not surprising.
Last player standing.
I think this is the first domino to fall, and there's going to be a lot about some of the degeneracy, some of the crimes and awful shit that was going on behind the scenes under Vince McMahon here. Now, I saw quite a few people caught off guard by this, surprised to learn that Vince McMahon is a bad guy. They were wondering how this stayed buried, or how any of the sexual misconduct allegations didn't. Like, how was it? I do a bit of a double take when I saw that. I got fucking. Even a secret that this decaying corpse, this fucking.
Last player standing.
Man, is a horrifying. It's just more people are opening their eyes to Vince McMahon being this fiend. Snitching on Grant's lawsuit, really making waves and highlighting a lot of previously unknown things like the sex trafficking and some of the other names that were included here to show how deep this rabbit hole goes and how awful all of it was. Now, sexual misconduct is something Vince McMahon calls home, so this isn't his first rodeo, and he tried to cover his own ass. Not literally, because he shit on someone's head, but legally tried to cover himself by trying to pressure Grant into signing a non-disclosure agreement in exchange for payments over several years totaling $3 million after their relationship and employment ended. So he was trying to silence her, to make sure she wouldn't, blow the lid off of this. Now, I'm no lawyer, I'm no expert, but I don't think a non-disclosure agreement protects you in the case of crime. Like, I don't think if you're sex trafficking someone, you could have all of your victims sign an NDA, and then they can't speak about it, you're safe. And if they do speak about it, they're the ones in trouble. I just can't imagine a world where if you sign that non-disclosure agreement and then goes forward with bringing this information.
Spike down A.
I have this. Your duty is not
enemy spotted. That kind of lunacy, like, listen, man, we're really sorry about that sex trafficking thing. That's bad stuff. But you violated your NDA. And breaking an NDA is so much worse. You're going to prison. You're going to slander for that. You don't violate the contract.
Jesus Christ, body block me a little more.
An NDA.
80 on,
Again, I'm not an expert, though. The only NDAs
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Not poop on someone's skull, among other horrible alleged words. It's fucking scary stuff, what was going on behind the scenes of the WWE with Vince McMahon. The parent company has issued a bit of a statement here. The parent company is TKO Group Holdings, and they said that McMahon doesn't control TKO or oversee day-to-day operations at the WWE, and that while this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take Ms. Grant's horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally. And a spokesperson for Vince McMahon also made a statement and said that the lawsuit was replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and a vindictive distortion of the truth. He will vigorously defend himself. I wish he would vigorously try and dive into a wrestling ring and tear.
I got ISO over here.
This is an evil man, and he has been evil for the entire time he has been with the company. And more.
I don't have it. I just had to heal myself.
He is a
I got Sage and ISO over there.
I know there is still a lot of Vince McMahon fans because they separate art from the artist. He plays a character in the WWE.
30 seconds, I can heal one of you.
He has been kind of I get that. Like, there is a lot of great WWE moments that, unfortunately, Vince McMahon is there
20
for.
seconds.
Was a big part of. Like, he played the role well. But as a person, he is terrible and a horrible person to have at the position of power
down
that he does. He shouldn't be in the industry. He shouldn't even be outside of a fucking jail cell for the things he's done. Like, I can't separate art from the artist when it comes to something like this. I just can't do it. I know there are people that are, and I'm not, like, mad at you for it, but I can't. He is just absolute trash, scum, the lowest of the low, and I will, of course, be keeping my eyes on this lawsuit as everything continues to develop.
30 seconds left.
I just wanted to give you, like, the very bare bones of it, like, the basics. There's so much to it. I urge anyone out there that's curious to take a look, but just fair warning, it is.
Just say.
It's very not pleasant to read. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it a bit. That's it. So yeah.
10 seconds left.
My next guest is a seasoned tech reviewer and YouTube content creator. His insightful look at PC hardware is consistently honest and informative, showcasing his remarkable skill in breaking down complex concepts.
Last player
Over the
standing.
years, he's not only imparted a wealth of knowledge about computers and tech, he's helped me grow as a person, simply from his presence. He has a brilliant mind, making him one of the finest individuals I know. Proud to introduce Paul, the man behind Paul's
One enemy
and
remaining.
one of my closest friends.
9 bullets.
Buy stuff, ching, little skrrr, do my done. Yeah?
Why does everyone always say shit about my crosshair? What the fuck?
Yo, my bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, damn, Paul's being extra open.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing with every guest is
Crosshair just a little big,
by the time they walk in.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand why. What do you mean? It's not big. It's yellow. It has a normal ass dot, and then the inside middle part moves out when it moves.
Everyone just assumed that I'm on.
The rest of it stays still.
I should be more
wrongly
aware of
assumed.
that.
Yeah.
Takes up.
Welcome to my world.
You're psychotic. It's just the outside moving.
But I did bring some.
It's only when I'm moving that it does that. They tell you that you're fucking not gonna be shooting straight down.
John, the merch guy.
Yeah, John.
My current
John.
merch guy. Your merch guy. Who you should work with again.
I know.
You
I
fought
thought I
well.
had more than one heady topper, which is a highly sought after beverage.
Heady top.
But I only have one, so you're welcome to that. But I do have 2 other options here.
You already had one?
I got 3 just in case someone randomly shows up.
Last
You
player
never know.
standing.
You never know. So we got Pneuma Black IPA, 6.5%.
These are all for me?
No, I'm gonna have one. Oh, you're gonna have one.
Okay.
And then we have one extra.
You want me to get glasses?
That you're supposed to drink from the can.
Oh, that's right.
It says right there on the top.
Let them try to get through me.
These are also not like properly chilled or anything, because I've been really lazy about bringing ice to
Hey,
the hotel
that's what makes it taste it more.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
extra stout nitro.
Yo,
and
can we
Pneuma
save?
Black IPA. And
What do you need?
I can tell you there's one good reason why she'll come back.
Saving.
There's one reason why she's coming back. I can promise you that. You go as hard as you want. If she will come back. Fuck her up. She's gonna come back. You tell them tomorrow as well, or else she won't come back.
Spike down B.
Makers, hire, fuck her up. If she wants an ass in 30 days, like she wants it, make her do the training for it. If she has to come back, or you know what happens?
Last player standing.
Alright, that's fine. Now we can fall back.
Sometimes you choose the tech news, and sometimes the tech news barges into your room and throws you into an unmarked SUV, and today was the second one for me. Apple finally addressed the question of what its compliance with the EU's Digital Markets Act rules will look like, and the answer is malicious.
Not very
Hoping it would
good.
be delicious, but we close. I mean, it sounds good at first. Apple
Barely
announced
meet
that
what they
iOS will support third-party app stores, they call them marketplaces, as well as third-party payment systems and browser engines other than WebKit, so you can actually use a browser that isn't just Safari covered in Chrome spray paint. But then you realize these delicious treats are only coming to the EU because they're actually really dangerous, and you're not sure you want them anymore anyways because you think you saw Apple spit on them before handing them out. Alternative app marketplaces must be authorized by Apple, and all the apps that they host must be notarized. A perfectly dystopian-sounding Appleism for reviewed by bots and humans.
Spike down mid.
While many
Last
of
player
the team
standing.
claims that iOS will support sideloading, installing standalone app packages outside of any app store like you can do on Android, Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, it won't support that. And it only gets wilder. In order for developers to distribute their apps on alternative app marketplaces or even use third-party payment processes, they need to accept the new business terms. The new business now. Get used to it. That includes paying a lower 10% cut of the App Store revenue, or 17% for digital goods and services, plus an extra 3% to use Apple's own payment system, which will also spare users any App Store, like you can do on Android, Windows, Linux, and a perfectly dystopian But then you realize these delicious only come to the EU because they're actually really dangerous, and you're not sure you want them anymore anyways because you think you saw Apple spit on them before handing them out. Alternative app marketplaces must be authorized by Apple, and all the apps that they host must be notarized.
Enemy spotted.
Perfectly dystopian sound of Appleism for reviews by lots of groups. While many are repeating claims that iOS will support sideloading, installing standalone app packages outside of any app store like you can do on Android, Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, it won't support it. And it only gets wilder. In order for developers to distribute their apps on alternative app marketplaces or even use third-party payment processes, they need to accept the new business terms. This is the new business now. Get used to it. That includes paying a lower 10% cut of the App Store revenue, or 17% for digital goods and services, plus an extra 3% to use Apple's own payment system.
One enemy
which
remaining.
will also spare users from the pop-up warning them that they may be about to hand over their savings to a Nigerian prince. They don't use the right one. But the new terms also include Apple's own version of Unity's scandalous per-install fee from last year. Once an app hits 1 million installs, its devs will have to pay a
Last
core
round before the
technology
switch.
fee, or CTF, of 50 euro cents for every new user who installs it annually. As in, the app can be reinstalled by the same user for no charge for 12 months. For some devs, this could see Apple taking something like a 60% cut of their app revenue. Now, if you think crossing your fingers and hoping that your app doesn't get too popular sounds kind of stressful, developers can always stick with the current business terms and swear off the cool new stuff. They could also target iPad OS, where first installs won't trigger the CTF, apparently. Developers of app marketplaces, however, will have to pay the CTF every time the marketplace app is installed, including the first
Spike down mid.
They'll also have to get a letter of credit from an A-rated financial institution of €1 million. Altogether, the deal doesn't sound too good. In their disclaimers,
68
Player standing.
that's not design. The company explains that they're only making the new features available in the EU because they're actually super dangerous. In the EU, they can take that. We're soft and vulnerable. I mean, the App Store's harsh protections blocked $2 billion worth of fraudulent transactions in 2022, the same amount that Google blocked in the same year on the far less restrictive Play Store. But there's way more Android phones in the world, and they're way harder to use for babies. The argument's confused. But Apple did announce one thing that appears to be just straight up good news. Game streaming platforms like Nvidia's GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming can now submit a single iOS app with the capability to stream their entire library of games, which is, again, how things already worked on other operating systems, but not on the minimalist Fisher-Price of phone OSs. Your minimalist baby will love it. Apple previously wanted Nvidia and Microsoft to create an App Store listing for every individual game in their streaming catalogs, a request the two tech giants responded to with... Interestingly, GeForce Now was the only way to play Fortnite on iOS since Epic Games removed it in 2020 when it started its whole App Store mudfight.
Spike planted.
But now that iOS will support third-party app stores, Epic Games plans to finally launch the Epic Games Store and Fortnite on iPhone, even though Epic boss Tim Sweeney thinks the new rules are, quote, hot garbage. Whether they actually go through with that launch also depends on whether Apple authorizes their
last player standing,
which I have a feeling is somewhat unlikely as long as Sweeney keeps characterizing Apple's announcements as a, quote, horror show. Tim Cook expects some level of decorum here.
I do not suffer impudence from whinging bourbon. Dart!
Now it's time for Quick Bits, brought to you by Manscaped. If you're feeling a little overgrown, trim your hedges the manly way with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0. It's trimmer blade and foil blade
Attackers win.
and you choose between buzz cut balls and Mr. Clean Ball. And to navigate through those more voluminous spots, the Lawnmower 5.0. Check out the Lawnmower 5.
By now,
Check out the Lawnmower 5.0 at manscaped.com/techlinked and use code techlinked for 20% off and free shipping.
Okay, I think all the Apple news has left by now. We can do the quick bits. Oh God, there's one more in the corner.
-30
It's
again.
standing there the whole
Perfect.
time. What? You know that's kind of creepy.
Fuck your game.
Yeah. Users of Beeper Cloud, the service that lets you route iMessages to your Android phone through your Mac computer, reported earlier this week that Apple was blocking them from using iMessage even on their Macs, which were flagged for spam. Because while Apple values the user experience above all,
Let's
their other
try this
shortcoming
fucking
is
thing out.
naughty children must be punished. After the New York Times reported on the issue and reached out to Apple, Apple did not respond to the New York Times,
Let's
but
play.
suddenly started unbanning these users. For now, Beeper has disabled Beeper Cloud functionality anyways, while they apparently try to find yet another workaround. I don't know. If Apple's compliance with the DMA is any indication, you might just have to get your mom an iPhone. Thousands of users reported that Microsoft Teams was down today, including many users from our own office, tragically blocking us from posting in the company-wide short joke group chat that is our comm system.
Like a Keebler out.
I swear we're a real company. Down Detector reported nearly 15,000 outages as of noon Pacific time. Microsoft gave a vague statement on Twitter acknowledging the problem and blaming it on a non-specific networking issue. Rats got in pipes. Notably, this outage comes less than a week after Microsoft disclosed an attack from a Russian-sponsored hacker and underrated My Little Pony character, Midnight Blizzard. They shelved him in the first season. It's a boy. Florida's House of Representatives has passed a bill that, if passed by the Senate and then signed by the governor, will ban children under 16 from social media platforms that track users' activity and use that information to provide targeted content. A primary concern is social media's potentially addictive nature, with one state representative comparing it to a kind of digital fentanyl. The bill has excluded platforms mainly used for messaging, non-user generated entertainment, and professional networks. So, if you're 14 in Florida, maybe now's the time to become a LinkedIn influencer. It's going to be the hot new thing.
Business.
Google has released a research paper and a demo video for Lumiere, something they're calling a space-time diffusion model, which sounds like a teleporter that turns users into a fine mist, but is actually an impressive text-to-video and image-to-video generation tool. The output is surprisingly realistic and smooth compared to past attempts at AI video generation. And just look at all these animals with the correct number of eyes and limbs. Wow. And these...
Uncover the secrets of the mysterious land while taking on the unknown forces who stand in your way. Defeat the bosses that lay claim to each region's tower as you try to uncover the truth behind the origin of PALs. Build formidable bases. Try to capture the strongest PAL possible, or breed it yourself. Embark on a unique adventure with PALs in this new world. Okay, what should I do first? First, pick up fallen branches and pebbles to gather wood and stone. You can also collect wood and stone by punching big trees and rocks with your bare hands. Build a workbench and craft an axe and pickaxe to gather resources more efficiently. Once you've gathered enough materials, choose a location for your base and build a PAL box. Once you place a PAL box, that area becomes your base. As your level increases, make weapons of PAL sphere. That. Okay, I don't know, but I'm gonna try this. Oh, process crashed. Really fucking awesome. The first time I try to play it, the pre-release just busts itself down. P, 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 P. Yeah. Didn't even put it on the fucking. Didn't even put it on the desktop. Let's go with the PAL app. Unreal Engine. Epic in here. It's pre-release. Thanks. Okay, let me start the game. Type, you gonna be some weird guy like that? White. Red.
for that champion.
For stat shards, which was stat shard changes.
Get out of that, bitch. The fuck? Bid. Hello. How do I punch it? Attack. Aim. Oh, okay. This area. A lot of trees to bash the fuck up right here, huh? Where can I go find some more fucking rocks at? Hey.
Huh?
Hellsphere, go. It's fucking stupid. Technology. Give me a fucking campfire. And I fucking build a campfire. Starving, I just fucking fed this bitch. Alright, I'm done with this game. Fuck that game.